Israeli attacks on Gaza continue as people await for the announced ceasefire to enter into force on Sunday. At least 101 Palestinians have been killed by Israel since the announcement was made. Former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan has been sentenced to prison along with his wife on a corruption case. And Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian visits Russia to sign an agreement on comprehensive strategic partnership among the two nations. Hello and welcome to From the South. My name is Belén de los Santos and from the teleSUR studios in Caracas, Venezuela, we begin with the news. And we begin with the situation in Palestine as Israeli attacks on Gaza continue as people await for the announced ceasefire to enter into force on Sunday. At least 101 Palestinians have been killed by Israel since the announcement was made. Just hours after the deal was made official, Israel has intensified incursions and attacks against central and the southern regions of the Strip. The Gaza Health Ministry reported that since the bombardments have killed at least 101 people, including 27 children and 31 women. The truce is scheduled to take effect as of Sunday and last for 6 weeks, followed by a gradual Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, as well as the release of detainees by Hamas and of Palestinian prisoners from Israeli jails. Meanwhile, in Israel, a demonstration was held in the center of Jerusalem in support of the agreement for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. The protesters demanded that Benjamin Netanyahu's administration guarantee the end of the genocide. A few hours after Qatar officially announced the phased truce agreement, the Israeli Prime Minister's office reported that Hamas had reneged on parts of the agreement and that they are trying to achieve last-minute concessions. However, a senior Hamas political bureau official assured the international press that all disputes over the content of the agreement had been resolved and accused Israel of creating tension. Also, demonstrators rallied on Thursday in the French capital, Paris, in favor of Palestine and called for a boycott against Israeli athletes that were participating in a basketball game. The protest was held at the Porte de la Chapelle and was organized by pro-Palestinian groups. The demonstrators oppose what they describe as sport washing, or the use of sport events to normalize or improve the international image of the State of Israel. They carried signs with slogans like "We don't play with genocide" and called to cancel the match as a symbolic rejection of the normalization with Israel. This basketball match was between the Paris Basket and Maccabi Tel Aviv. We continue with more information. Also on Thursday in the Palestinian city of Ramallah, hundreds of students from the Bistreit University protested to denounce the continuous attack on Gaza and also the crimes in the West Bank. The demonstrators demanded an immediate end to the attacks on Gaza while raising the Palestinian flag. In addition, the protesters displayed posters and photos denouncing the genocide perpetrated by Israel against the Palestinians and their territory. The students called for an immediate halt to the incursions and bombardments that have left thousands of martyrs, mostly women, children, and also elderly people. And Yemen's armed forces welcomed the announcement of agreement between Hamas and Israel on a ceasefire in Gaza. The advisor to the Supreme Political Council, Abdullah Hajar, expressed that the group is proud and honored by the steadfastness of the support to the Palestinian people. In this sense, Illah Hajar reiterated the support to Palestine until the end of the Israeli genocidal war against the nation. The high official assured that they will fulfill their promise to stop the offensive against the Tel Aviv regime once the Israeli aggressions against Gaza cease. And now we have a short break coming up, but first, remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. We continue with more information. A special court in Pakistan sentenced former Prime Minister Imran Khan to 14 years in prison on Friday after being accused of receiving land as a bribe during his term in office. On the same grounds, Bushra Bibi, Khan's wife, was also sentenced to 7 years. The case involves a charitable trust set up by Khan and his wife in 2018 when he was still at the helm of government, in which they allegedly obtained land worth $24 million as a bribe from real estate tycoon Malik Riaz Hussain. The verdict came amid negotiations between the Pakistan government and Khan's opposition, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Party, after months of intense political turmoil and street protests. And in other news, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian visits Russia to sign an agreement on comprehensive strategic partnership between Tehran and Moscow with his counterpart Vladimir Putin. According to experts, the document reflects the arrival of Russian-Iranian relations to a new level, where a legal framework for long-term development in all directions will be established. During the visit, the two presidents are also expected to discuss the situation in the Middle East, including the conflicts in Syria and the Gaza Strip. Putin and Pezeshkian will also discuss key issues on the global and regional agenda of mutual interest, such as the situation in the Transcaucasus and Iran's nuclear program. And we go now to the United States as people waited in long lines to be served by the Department of Homeland Security in North Carolina. According to the U.S. TV station WSOC, the people said that they had been trying to get their hearings attended for several days, but were turned down due to long lines. After President-elect Donald Trump's threats of mass deportations, immigrants decided to leave the country on their own. In this context, Trump and his entourage expect these self-deportations to continue. History, despite the lack of records, shows how in previous times migrants have been expelled with or without legal status in the country. We continue in the United States as journalist Sam Husseini was removed from the Secretary of State Antony Blinken's press conference for exposing the U.S. role in the Israeli genocide in the Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, while he was addressing the role of Biden's administration in negotiating the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, two journalists interrupted and accused him of complicity in Israeli actions against Palestinian civilians. Husseini accused the Secretary of State of being complicit in the genocide and also demanded his trial at the International Criminal Court. Husseini was violently removed from the room by security agents. In a similar development, Max Blumenthal, editor of The Gray Zone, was also expelled after accusing Blinken of allowing Israel to continue bombing the Gaza Strip even after a ceasefire agreement was reached. We now continue with more information. In Brazil, heavy rains in the last hours have affected the state of Santa Catarina in the south of the country, causing chaos in the road infrastructure due to floods and landslides. Main highways have been blocked and the traffic has been seriously affected in several regions. On the highway BR-101, one of the most important in the state, an overflow of water has been reported, blocking traffic in the southern direction. In addition, a traffic accident at kilometer 94.8 in the locality of Barravela has caused the total closure of that road in the same direction. In Santa Catarina, state localities such as Itapanema, Camboriú and Florianópolis, the thunderstorm and rainfall alert is extended until Monday, January 20th. And the Telica volcano in western Nicaragua has begun showing a significant decrease of its activity for the last 24 hours. The nation's Vice President, Rosario Murillo, informed that the monitoring of the volcano continues with the use of advanced technology, including drones equipped with thermographic sensors and high-resolution cameras. She also assured that an increase in activity is not expected in the coming days. The Vice President also affirmed that the authorities continue working to prevent any possible risk. And in the Kachira region in northeast of Tanzania, 9 cases of possible Marburg virus disease similar to Ebola has been documented as of January 11th, of which 8 were fatal. The World Health Organization reported that the results of laboratory tests on the cases received since January 10th are awaited in order to confirm the situation. The symptoms presented in these cases include high fever, headache, blood vomiting, and in advanced stages of the disease, external bleeding. Health authorities are actively working on contact identification with special emphasis on healthcare workers who could be exposed. In 2023, Tanzania faced another incident that left at least 9 cases and 6 deaths. The pandemic was declared to have started on March 21st and ended on June 2nd of that year. And news of this possible outbreak comes shortly after Rwanda declared the end of its epidemic on December 20th, which began on September 27th last year and recorded 66 confirmed cases and 15 deaths. Marburg virus, like Ebola, causes sudden hemorrhages and can lead to death within days. There are no vaccines or treatments available yet, increasing the danger of this disease. The virus was first discovered in the German city of Marburg in 1967, and since then it caused more than 3,500 deaths in Africa, and bats are considered its natural hosts. Now we have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you will be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. The Attorney General of Venezuela, Tarek William Saab, sent on Thursday an open letter to the President of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, in response to Petro's latest statement on social networks about Venezuela. In his letter, William Saab expressed his surprise at the Colombian president's statements and contrasted them with the ideals of emancipation of the great homeland that both shared in the past. The Attorney General also reminded Petro that it was from Colombian territory that mercenaries trained and hired by a foreign company infiltrated Venezuela to unleash a bloodbath in full view of the Colombian authorities, and that to this day not a single person has been arrested for those events. William Saab reiterated that Venezuela has defended democracy, stability, and internal peace in an exemplary manner with full respect for constitutional guarantees and human rights. And social organizations in Argentina participated in a caravan through the capital, Buenos Aires, to demand the release of social leader Milagro Sala from the Tupac Amaru Association, who has been detained for 9 years. This way, the organizations, joined by human rights activists, marched in a caravan for freedom to demand an end to the harassment, judicial and political persecution against the social leader. The mobilization took over the city's main avenues on its journey from the Congress Square to Sala home, where she has been held under house arrest since January of 2016. The leader's detention for alleged incitement to violence happened after she led a proposal against changes imposed by former Jujuy province governor Gerardo Morales.
Our political prisoner, the first political prisoner of the Macri government, who began her ordeal at that time and who continues today serving 9 years. It is an abuse because it is an attack on the essential rights of any human being. After all, they have created a rotten justice system, a rotten judiciary and political power that has abandoned her and condemned her for being a woman, for being an indigenous woman, and for being a popular military woman.
To try to pay tribute to an exceptional social leader like Milagro Sala, who I believe was enduring the repression of a system for being an indigenous woman, for being a woman, for being poor, and also for having stood out as an important personality.
And precisely in this context, Argentinian social leader Milagro Sala denounced her arbitrary detention on the 9th anniversary of her apprehension, and at the same time assured that she would continue to resist in order to recover her homeland.
Hola, queridos compañeras y compañeros.
Hello, dear comrades. Today I am celebrating 9 years of arbitrary detention, where unfortunately I have not been able to defend myself as I would have liked. I have lost my family. I have lost many things along the way. But they could never make me give up. They could not make me blend. I promise to continue resisting to recover our homeland, which today is in danger.
And social leader Milagro Sala also inaugurated a work that represents the culture of the native people in Argentina.
With them, I want to inaugurate today this work that has a lot of meaning 500 years ago for our ancestors, who gave their lives when we're colonized, got out our gods, our lives, our cultures, our history. For us who belong to the native people, they are still alive.
And from Argentina, we go now to El Salvador as the Farabundo Martí National Liberation Front Party held a ceremony to pay tribute to the victims of the armed conflict in commemoration of the 33rd anniversary of the signing of the peace accords. The Farabundo Martí National Liberation Front carried out this activity at the party's headquarters. In this context, 33 years ago, the peace agreements managed to stop an armed conflict that lasted 12 years and claimed the lives of approximately 80,000 people and an undetermined number of missing persons. It should be noted that since Nayib Bukele has been elected president of the nation, the government has not held any official commemorative event to remember this date. And Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum responded to statements made by U.S. Senator Marco Rubio in which he insisted that drug cartels should be considered terrorists. The head of state pointed out that declaring drug trafficking organizations as terrorist groups implies many things, and she said that she would only consider the good side of Rubio's statements. In this sense, Sheinbaum welcomed the intention that, according to the politician, the U.S. State Department has to coordinate alliances with Mexico for the benefit of both nations on security issues. In this context, Sheinbaum pointed out that these same proposals are the ones that the Mexican government has been putting forward and described them as good. And in Sinaloa, in northwest Mexico, a fire broke out in a casino and an amusement park located in the commercial plaza in front of the State Congress in the city of Culiacan. The fire started to spread around noon, where rescue teams arrived to extinguish the flames. The director of the Civil Protection, Aurelio Roy Navarrete, reported that so far only one person has been injured, who was taken to the General Hospital for treatment, and that the causes of the fire are still unknown. Sinaloa's board president decreed a recess in this Thursday's ordinary session due to the closeness of these events. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and also on TikTok. For TeleSUR English, my name is Belén de los Santos. Thank you for watching.